Right, 24 December 2023, and today I am going to go through a number of the key stories on this Sunday, and this is going to be very quick but very, very important because I'm looking at a story that is developing, and this is with regards to what is happening in the military in Zimbabwe. As you know, last week there was a report about various senior commanders being suspended, being fired, and awaiting court martial. So there is more information that is available. So I'm going to give you that information now. And then I'm going to give you what I think is going to happen in 2024 with regards to the Zimbabwe military, given this political situation in Zimbabwe. And when I'm talking about the political situation in Zimbabwe, I am talking about the failure of ZEC, the failure of parliament, the failure of Senate, and the failure of councils. There is going to be a major confusion very, very soon because there are people that have been recalled, there are new MPs, and there are new councillors, but all this is being done illegally. And I believe that eventually this is going to be found to be illegal and an election rerun or something else is imminent in Zimbabwe. So what I want to do is I want to show you the three key stories that are happening today, that are important today, which is obviously the major changes that are taking place in the military under Sanyatwe, and then the Chiwenga wedding, which happened yesterday, and then FARS. More details have been revealed about the secret gadgets that were being used by FARS. So apparently FARS was not just a ragtag operation, but it was using secret gadgets to communicate from a command center. And this information is available in the standard newspaper. So you'll be able to find the information that I'm telling you about FARS in the standard newspaper. You'll be able to find information about Chiwenga's wedding in all online platforms. It's over there. But let's look at the Zimbabwe National Army. And I don't want to claim to know what's happening. So when I'm telling you something here, I'm not claiming to know the whole game plan. So don't think that I know the whole game plan. But what I know is that Mnangagwa is in his last term. He is no longer in the plans, the long-term plans of the military. He is in the short-term plans. But the military of Zimbabwe obviously looks at 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ahead. They do not operate and plan the way that an ordinary person does. And I am sure what is happening now among the civilians is worrying to the Zimbabwe military. But the appointment of the new commander here, Zimbabwe National Army Commander, Anselm Sanyatwe, is now a subject of news. So let me give you the actual details of what happened. So Sanyatwe is being accused by sources, not my sources, that is the Newsday sources, of removing members of or commanders and replacing them with members of the presidential guard. So highly placed military sources said Zimbabwe National Army Commander Anselm Sanyatwe was replacing top soldiers from other units with presidential guard units. So that is Absalom, you're saying be careful when it comes to military activity. This information is widely available on the internet, Absalom. As I said to you, this is not my personal information. Go to newsday.co.zw, you'll see it, it's there. And this is Mnangagwa's newspaper, Newsday, and his son-in-law. So don't worry about me. Now, so highly placed military sources said Zimbabwe National Army Commander Anselm Sanyatwe was placing top soldiers from other units with presidential guard personnel. Sanyatwe was the commander of the presidential guard during November 2017 coup, which ousted Mugabe, before he was posted to the diplomatic role in Tanzania. Remember, he was the ambassador to Tanzania. Sanyatwe, there is a belief that Sanyatwe is putting his close allies from the presidential guard in strategic positions. So this is an article in the Newsday newspaper. It's coming from this week. As I said, I didn't want to deal with this together with other stories. This is a very, very important story. Why is he doing that? Why is he moving key people, key soldiers out and putting his friends or his trusted allies into the top positions? What is the plan? Then let's look at the other accusation. It was a tradition in the Zimbabwe National Army that the Zimbabwe National Army commander was escorted by special air services unit. But when he came in, he said he wanted to be escorted by soldiers from the presidential guard. So the commander of the Zimbabwe National Army does not trust all these other guys. He only trusts the people that he knows, who are the people who were in the presidential guard, where he was previously the commander. So the accusation is that the soldiers that were put on court-martial, the soldiers that were fired, the soldiers that were dismissed, were not dismissed for the reason that they're saying they were dismissed. The dismissal was actually part of a pre-planned operation, something that has been planned before. And the names of these soldiers were put here in the newspaper. So there is one M. Makawa. So these were relieved of their duties with immediate effect. That is M. Makawa, D. Mandova, N. Chapenyama, D. Katena, D. Tawaziwa, LZ Sipada, G. Chikudzuri, and F. Marima. These are the warrant officers. I don't know when they talk of warrant officer, what are they talking about? Then the lieutenant colonels who were posted in awaiting court martial are one Mujambizo, Chikwature, Mabiginye, Mugauri, Kachingwe, Maisiri, Ngundunyamandi, and Dube. So these are the people that were fired, people that were replaced, and major changes taking place in the Zimbabwe military. You can see that story in this week's Newsday. It was there in midweek. And as I said, there's something major planned. What the army is doing, as I think, with the new Zimbabwe National Army commander, is they're thinking broadly. And something big is obviously going to come in 2024. The political terrain has been messed up by the activities of ED and people like Sengezo Shabangu. This is not sustainable. What they're doing now is not sustainable. It's illegal. The recalls are illegal. And eventually, we're going to end up with either a rerun or some form of power sharing arrangement. This is where we're going. It doesn't make sense what is happening right now. The recalls, the court has already ruled, as I said to you yesterday, the court has already ruled that everything that's happening here is, what can I call it? Nonsense. Like, that's basically what the court is saying, that what Chabangu is doing is nonsense. He must stop. And the army is going to play a very, very key role in what is happening. I don't think that the army is going to just leave the situation to stay like this. Because remember, ED is in his last term. As far as the army is concerned and all the people in government are concerned, this guy is out of the way. They're now looking at who is coming next. This is going to be very, very important, because what is the attitude of the Zimbabwe National Army to Chamisa? Because if you were to open up and say, let's have an election today, everyone who's going to come is going to lose to Chamisa. So what is the attitude of the Zimbabwe National Army to Chamisa? Are they going to accept a Chamisa presidency? Are they going to accept anyone who is not from the military, who in ZANU-PF can take over as the president of Zimbabwe? Between the General Chiwenga and Muhadi, who is the preferred successor? And what is the process of putting either Muhadi or Chiwenga? Is Chiwenga the preferred? Because I understand that Sanyatwe is very close to Chiwenga. Is Muhadi Mohadi they preferred, because I understand Mohadi is also coming from a military background and from a security background, who is the preferred, and what is the process of choosing between those two? Who is going to be the next vice president? What is the role of Valerio Sbanda? What is going to be the role when he steps down from the military and he goes into ZANU-PF? Because remember, he's going into ZANU-PF. So the permutations that you're looking at here, you're looking at the succession planning, which the army is going to play a key role in. They are going to make a very key role in who is going to be the next president. Either someone from ZANU-PF or transitioning to someone outside of ZANU-PF, who is Chamisa. Because right now, if it's either you've got a ZANU-PF guy or you've got Chamisa, there's no one else. I can assure you that right now, there's no way that you can have another president who is a civilian, who is not Chamisa, except if the military was to intervene. So this thing that we're watching here, the transitions and the changes in the army are very, very important. And you have to be aware that in 2024, we've got an important year that is coming, which is how do they manage Mnangagwa out, and how do they manage the new guy in? How do they manage the relationship with Chamisa? If they have a good attitude towards Chamisa, you're going to see an election rerun. If you don't see an election rerun, Chamisa is going to be in trouble, because everyone agrees that what is happening right now is a mess. The recalls are a mess. They're illegal, and they have to be sorted out. ED, I don't know what he was trying, but the whole thing is a mess. So now let's go to, do you want me to continue? I'll continue another day on this, because as I said, I don't want to pretend to know the whole game plan. I don't. And the people who know the whole game plan are within the military. And the Zimbabwe National Army, if you want to know more about the Zimbabwe National Army, let me show you what you do. The Zimbabwe National Army is doing a good job in terms of sharing information about themselves. It's a bit old, the information that they have. But if you go here to zna.gov.zw, you will see here that is their website. It's a bit old. It's still got Sigauke there at the top. It's still got GS, but you get the idea of what they're doing from their website. Obviously, they'll update it and put Anselm there where there is Sigauke. Sigauke was retired, and they put in Lieutenant General Anselm Sanyatwe, who is a close ally of General Chiwenga. So you can go to that website, zna.gov.za. There's all the information that you need. But what I'm telling you here is that the Zimbabwe National Army is going to play a key role in who is going to be president. They're going to play a key role in how we transition to the next phase, because the current government of ED has become a disappointment, not only to the civilians, but I'm sure they've also become a disappointment to the National Army, because instability has increased. The economy has not improved. There is now more centralization of power in one family. I don't think that is what the army envisaged when they said they were going to put a new person in place of Mugabe. Mugabe didn't have his family in government. ED has taken his whole clan and put it in government. He even appointed his family in the army. How crazy can that be? Like, you have these guys being promoted, right, in the National Army to levels that make no sense. Like, you got no military experience, you got no fighting experience, and then you are supposed to command people. That is crazy. And I think that is something that the army will be looking at. So that's the first story that I was looking at. We'll be following it very, very closely. You know that every time I talk about the Zimbabwe National Army, very, very interesting what is going to happen with regards to the army. The question which you also need to answer is, where is Chamisa? Answer that question and keep it in your mind every day. When you look at what is happening, ask yourself, where is Chamisa? Then that question will give you the answer of what is going to happen in 2024. Do not be looking at a very surface level. Look deeper in the events that are happening, the political events that are happening in Zimbabwe. Most of the stuff that it is doing is illegal. and it won't stand the test of time. The activities that ED is doing right now, they will be reversed. Eventually, short term or in the long term, most of the stuff that is doing is going to be reversed because it doesn't stand the test of the legal test, and it won't stand the test of time. So the test of time is very, very important. Now let's look at Chiwenga wedding. Chiwenga had a wedding with his wife. I think she's also a Keno, Minetabo Baloy. Yes, they had a wedding yesterday, lavish wedding. Ed was there, Grace Mugabe was there, Mpoko was there. Who else was there? Maimnangagwa was there. They danced with Grace. I didn't watch the full wedding. I just saw snippets. But I'll tell you something about it when I have time to go deeper into the wedding. We've already talked about the wedding before it happened. Then the last story is FAZ. FAZ is not a ragtag operation. FAZ is apparently a very, very advanced military operation. Why? Because they failed to pay their agents in Bikita. And if you go to the Sunday newspaper today, some of the agents have now revealed how FAZ was operating. FAZ provided in the 210 constituencies secret gadgets, network communication devices that could only work from the top of a mountain. So when you saw those guys sitting in the polling stations, did you ever think, how did they communicate the information back to base? So this information has now been revealed. What they were doing was they had a secret gadget that they provided to each to a person in each constituency, and this person will have to walk to the mountain like during that day many times. It's a gadget that only works from the mountain, which means the satellite equipment. Also, obviously, you want to be as high as possible, and then that person would communicate to base using that secret gadget. And so that means they will be saying, how are people voting? Who appears to be voting for the opposition? Who is refusing to be assisted? That's the information that they were communicating. And they had 20 people in each constituency. So given that we've got 210 constituencies, that means FAZ had at least 500 agents and chiefs. They were also using chiefs and headmen, which means this operation had more than 600 people, the operation of FAZ during the election. So link this to what I just said. Is this a military operation, and what is the end game? You must think about the end game. ED is living. ED is history. As far as the army is concerned, the plans of the army do not depend on an individual. So I always tell you that the army does not think about ED. They think about president, commander-in-chief. They think about the position, and they think about how things connect to each other. So as far as that concerned, the individual ED has got a countdown on him. So that's how the military thinks. The military is permanent. The president is temporary. That's how it works. So the plans that they're making now is in preparation to the next guy who's going to take over. The question is, who is this guy? FAZ was not a small operation. The guys that we saw running FAZ in public are not the guy who were running the operation at the back. I told you also that ZEC had taken over, the military had taken over at ZEC. They were running the operation there. So the military had all the information. And now we understand how they got that information. The military, they actually know if someone is declared a winner. They actually know the numbers. So the ones they announce to you, they know them, but they also know the ones that they don't announce to you. That is how it is. So these are the three stories that we've been covering. Anselm Sonyatwe making major changes in the Zimbabwe National Army, removing people from certain places, top soldiers, and replacing them with people from the Presidential Guard, and also refusing to be guarded by the Special Air Forces services, and now wanting to be guarded by Presidential Guard. And we had the Chiwenga wedding and the FAZ secret gadgets. This is the stories that we're looking at going into Christmas. Today is Christmas Eve. Amazing, amazing stories. But what we're going into 2024 is going to be even more important. Remember what I said when we go into 2023. The Zimbabwe that you see is a total mess. Something big needs to happen in our country. The guys that are in charge right now, they cannot solve the problems we have because they're the guys who created them. So Chabisa's idea of a transitional authority is perfect, but the implementation, who is going to lead the implementation? It's clear everyone agrees that there's need for a transitional authority, but who is going to be in charge of that transitional authority? What ED has created now with the recalls, that was the last straw, and it needs to be reversed as soon as possible. It's making a mockery of our country. It's making our country a banana republic. A banana republic with a bunch of who likes bananas? I don't know, monkeys. Right, let's look at the comments. MS Gambama theories never end. He has left Chamisa missing story alone. No, I didn't leave it. I just said it. MS, where is Chamisa? Show me Chamisa on video. MS, find him and let me know. Something big has happened, guys. And eventually, when you find out what has happened, you will tell me. What is happening is not Chamisa. This is not Chamisa's normal behavior. Something has happened. I don't know what it is. And as I said, I don't claim to know everything. I get information here. I get information there. I put it together and I give it to you. There is nowhere else we are going to get information that I'm giving you now. The media space is polarized and it's owned by ED. Most of the media that you know is owned by ED. And to make matters worse, they've created a bunch of fake media right now, which is putting stories that will make you never understand what's going on. You lack trust. They will tell you about SADC, they'll tell you about this, until you're so confused and you don't know what's going on. Absalom already said, I'm not the one who brings the stories. It's there in the public domain. And anyway, you're going to see. The Zimbabwe military does not operate in the dark. What they do, you're going to see it in public. You're going to see who the military supports. You're going to see what the military says about the next president. You're going to see if there's a transitional authority, what is going to happen. The civilians are failing. That's why the military ends up stepping in. And that's why you see these changes that are happening in the army. Have you seen the Herald reporting on such a story which has got names, which I've given you? They have not done so because it's a political issue, it's a military issue. And to make matters worse, I've told you that there's a third force which is fed up of Chamisa and fed up of Mnangagwa. Did I not say this to you before the elections? Do you see what Sengiz is doing? Did I not say to you that it's a military, political, and business force that wants a new political order? You remember the words that I said to you before the elections. I think I can do much better than most of the prophets in Zimbabwe. Right, Edmond, we're not going anywhere with this behavior. I agree with you. This is crazy what ED is doing with the recalls. The recalls are the last straw for everyone. Everything that has happened, maybe. But the recalls, you can't recall people the way that Sengiz was done and then expect everything to be normal. Because remember, ED, as I said, is going. So is that going to be the new culture in Zimbabwe? That when you have an election, then someone is going to reverse it. Is that going to be the new culture? I don't think that's correct. Sanyato is a close ally of ED, not Chiwenga. Mnangagwa is not that should be to put a Chiwenga ally in that crucial position. I think let's unpack that. You're right. So, ED is not a close ally of Sanyato. As far as I'm concerned, Sanyato, where do the other generals during the coup? ED was not there. Do you guys understand? ED was in South Africa when the coup happened. ED did not do the coup. ED was placed by the army. So let's get this clear. The person that was in charge of the coup was Chiwenga. Do you guys understand? So do not think that the army just sits there and ED calls and say, "Hi, army, do this, do that." That's not correct. ED is just as much of a victim as everyone. The guys in the army are not weak. This is my assessment. The guys in the army are very strong. and they're strategic. And ED does not push them around. That's why you see that the junior soldiers can run from an address that is being done by ED. As far as that concerned, ED is gone. This is what my assessment is. So people like Sanyatwe, they look forward. They don't look back to say, oh, ED was my friend in 2018. They look and say, in 3 years' time, so 900 days, who's going to be the president? Uh, is it Chiwenga? Is it Chamisa? That's where they're thinking. And Sanyatwe is the one who gave Gupuro to marry Chiwenga. I think you can Google that. So who is closer to who? Who was commanding Sanyatwe when he removed Mugabe? Do you see what I mean? So ED is not as strong and as powerful as people think. That's my assessment. I think if ED was to make a mistake and was to challenge the army, like he's doing now, he's challenging the army by appointing his kids, by appointing his family members. The civilian and the political, they're not matching. The army did not put these guys there to do what they're doing, which is to continue the system that was there, the system that collapsed the country. It's embarrassing to the army. This is what I'm saying to you. Right. Babs is saying the army has always been the center of politics in Zimbabwe. True. Jonathan Moore has done a good job describing why the soldiers failed to return to the barracks. ZANU-PF is a military organization. And I always tell guys that when ZANU-PF makes decisions, they are made in a structured way. I told the CCC guys who were consulting with me before the elections that you must understand how ZANU-PF makes decisions. They don't make decisions like CCC. When you go to ZANU-PF on a Monday, there are committees. Everything is written down. They take the decision to various structures, and the structures deal with the army. It's a proper organization. ZANU-PF got companies, got budget. They've got their own issues, but the way ZANU-PF operates, it can sustain itself outside of an individual. The way that CCC operates, it does not have the same approach. That is why you see that a military organization cannot be removed. Too many people are reliant on the system. You can't remove them because they rely on that system. The only way that we can have a normal system in Zimbabwe is to first of all remove what is there from the Chamisa side and from the ED side and create a transitional authority. The question is, who is going to be in charge of that transitional authority? Now think about that very, very carefully. Do you think the ZANU-PF guys are going to allow Chamisa to take over the transitional authority? Do you think the CC guys are going to allow the ZANU-PF guys to take over the transitional authority? That's where the military is going to step in, because the civilians can never agree. And Zimbabwe is a mess. Zimbabwe is behind because of the civilians. They cannot operate, the civilians cannot operate properly. The moment you put one, it starts putting his family. The moment you put the other, it starts fighting with the other. What is happening with the opposition? It's a concern to everyone. Will the military allow a ragtag opposition party to take over with no powerful leader, with a leader that is totally absent? Do you think they will allow such a thing? What are the influences that they're thinking of right now? What will happen if, let's say, Chamisa was to take over? Are they satisfied and comfortable that he won't just let the situation in the country deteriorate and lose control? Those are the things that the army think about, not what you're thinking. What you're thinking is something else. Right, I think I've got a number of other comments I'm looking at here. Let me look at any important comment. Mukoma MS is saying the same thing, that I don't have facts. I don't have facts. I do not claim to have facts. If someone claims to know what the military is thinking, they are lying to you. Even you, MS, you don't know what the military is thinking, because when Gab was removed, you didn't know. They had that plan from long back. They operate on a proper plan. They don't operate on emotions. That's how the army operates. They operate properly. And then MS is saying, what is transitional authority? There are a number of transitional authorities that were proposed. Tendai Biti is one, Chamisa is one, Mandaza is one, Jonathan Moore is one, Trevor Ngube is one. There were many transitional authorities proposed before the removal of Mugabe. What he did was that after he removed Mugabe, he was supposed to include Manachangirai and all those guys. But the moment ED was in place, he reneged on everything and he stopped all the plans that were there before. That's why you saw that the MDC was involved in the demonstration about Mugabe. They were told that if they're involved, they'll be part of the transitional authority. But instead, the moment that Mugabe was out, ED then took office and forgot all about them. Right, I think we've covered this. I think if you come to Gambako, you get it. You get the information that you need. 2024 is going to be dramatic year. Everything that ED is doing now is illegal and is going to be reversed. And the military is ready. They are making plans here according to what you're seeing here. But who is Sanyato going to side with? That is a very, very important question to answer. Who is Sanyato going to side with? What is going to happen to ED when he steps down? And I think this is important information. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. As I said, if anyone has seen Captain Matapo, I need to get that information. I'm very happy for the guys who send me information about what happened to Captain Matapo. But we need more concrete information. Where is Captain Matapo? And what happened to him when he went to Zimbabwe? And why was he in Zimbabwe? We'll try to answer that question in my next broadcast. And I try to avoid doing broadcasts in the evening because I go to parties a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do that broadcast tonight. I think it's unfair to talk such deep topics just before Christmas. So guys, I'm going to take a break. Tomorrow we're going to talk about something a bit light. And I think it is important for me to take a break tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some lighter topics. Then we'll go to Captain Matapa. I'll move that a bit further because I still am waiting for the information of what really happened to him. And then we'll take it after Christmas. We'll talk about Captain Matapo. Thank you very much, everybody. And I didn't intend to talk for this long, but thank you for watching. And please enjoy with your families. It's Christmas time. Do not drive fast and do not drive at night. You will die in those Zimbabwean roads, especially if you're traveling Bedbridge to Bulawayo. Do not do it. That road is the worst road on earth. You will die if you drive on that road. I had to park my car and sleep on the side of the road because of the way the road is so bad. It's terrible. So thank you very much for watching, everybody, and